Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Rev Love, host Shorty, and today I'm on a bit of a palate cleanser reviewing something that isn't the terrible Sweetie Candy Vigilante. Check that one out, though, if you're an entertainment. We're looking at Earthdivers today with the subtitle Kill Columbus, and as I have already opined elsewhere, I cannot but feel that Kill Columbus is the kind of comic book title which IDW are going to say, put that in the subtitle, please. Let's just not have a comic book called Kill Columbus. For obvious reasons. There's a lot of people who probably get annoyed with the idea that that's going to happen. There's an awful lot of people I know in America, specifically the United States of America, that seem to think that he's an okay dude and we should absolutely respect him, and these people are products of a certain school system. But this comic book is dark and different, and it asks some hard questions, but it does it in ways which are absolutely brilliant. But, and I have to stress this right off the bat, there is one thing that bugged me about it. And it's an unusual thing. It's the kind of thing where I think IDW as a company wouldn't usually make this mistake. I'm not sure it's a mistake. I'm like 90% certain that it's not quite what they intended. We have a character in it who is referred to as both Emily and Emily. They are feminine presenting, verging just outside of androgynous, tall, and people are talking about whether or not there was more than one man in this group. And there's a point where it feels like he's the only guy, the only response, I'm not the I've got to, but it looks like that dialogue is coming from the person who isn't referred to as Emily. And I can't help but feel that isn't the line that Emily should be saying. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. It just feels wrong the way I'm reading it. I'd like to know what was going on. If I am wrong, then fair enough. I've no problem making my mistakes, but I'd like to know what the intent was. So if anyone who's created that comic book is watching this, I'd like to know. What we're talking about, like stuff on the page, is we're saying that the actual artwork for it is fantastic. Like beautiful at times, big epic vistas, nice tight action sequences. There's a lovely choice when we are getting a bit of back history of I think it's all Coates people, I could be wrong, and they go to a 9-panel grid to kind of show an older way of storytelling, a traditional way of storytelling. I think that's really effective use of form in this comic book, and I really like it. Throughout the rest of it is more wide screen, like long panel kind of thing, but it can tighten up when you're doing more intense focus storytelling, or when the timing is a little bit different. I like everything that's done with it. Even the fact that when we have like words on a page to describe something, like titles for stuff, like they have the 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina, if I remember correctly. Instead of having those boxed out text, they're just written on the page, and I think that's a nicer way of visualizing words. I think it makes more sense, makes it more human. So yeah, the comic book looks absolutely amazing. The story of going back in time and killing Columbus, though, does have some baggage. And I'm not talking necessarily about the anti-colonialism baggage. Anyone who knows me by now knows I am very anti-colonial. I'm talking about how you tell this story and make it interesting and compelling for the people who are sitting at home reading it. And first off, it can be tricky when you're dealing with time travel. This is a very high concept canon, and it's totally theoretical, which means there's no easy answers for things. This comic book has them sending one person back in time and 3 people staying in what we'll call the contemporary period, and trying to figure out if they've been successful in changing the past by killing Columbus. And this basically asks some really interesting questions about how the theory of time travel will work. Are these people existing in a separate leg of the trousers of time because of what's happened when they set this person back? Are we talking like their past and their future are the same as this guy's past and future? It's interesting, but it doesn't really get answered. And I think there might be some people out there who could find that a little bit frustrating, that there is no hard and fast answer, and there's no really easy way to be like, oh, so this is what's going on. Now, I like it as a storytelling thing. It basically means there is still tension in the contemporary time period, rather than just concentrating on what's going on for the time traveler. It actually adds quite a bit for me, but I'm not sure it will be for everyone at that point. I think some people might just be concentrating on the idea of, if you're going to do a time travel thing, send me back to go and kill Columbus, let's look at that story and then see if it works, rather than a long debate about whether it can or whether they'll be able to tell if it works. Now, the other big thing they do with time travel, which I really quite like, is they send this guy back who actually speaks multiple languages, the right person to do it, and he looks the type to be traveling from the old world to the new. But he also is a contemporary person. He knows maths and trigonometry, and he speaks like a bunch of really useful language, but he can't tie a knot, and he's pretending to be a sailor. And there's a whole thing of like, oh, if I went back in time, I'd be amazing. I could tell them all these cool stuff. It's like, yeah, but do you know how to make bread the way that old people will be able to do it? Could you at all fit in? Would you be useful to people as they were living their lives? It's a really nice question that they're asking this one, and they're answering it really effectively. I've thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I will be picking up the rest of the series. I think it's got a lot of potential to basically look at how time travel works as a story device, and also the idea of colonialism. And one last little thing, and I know I'm over 5 minutes here, but there's always this idea of there are good and bad people on either side of an argument, and some people are willing to do bad things for good reasons. And I like looking at that in terms of, do we forgive these people or do we need to forgive them? If somebody does something horrible to prevent a worse atrocity, knowing that it's going to be a worse atrocity, are they in the right to do it? Or do we just have to accept that any small change we make could have bigger consequences? They're asking the right kind of questions here for time travel stuff, and I can't wait to see what else happens with it. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. That's it for me for now, though. I'm going to come back later on today with one last review for the week. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe thing so you don't miss anything. But until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.